Well, welcome to another Duranie distraction. Oh my gosh, I can feel how special this is in my bones. I can feel it in my marrow. We are gathered here today to celebrate the existence of the controller. Okay, I mean, you know, there's special moments between fans. There's things we all share, but birthdays, that is like celebrating the reason for all of our strange behavior. I mean, it is really, really special. You know, this is why I send out pizzas. This is why I send out hugs all over the world and pulling my fellow fans close, because it's the Duran members. We got 4 of these birthdays every year, and today it's the second one of 2020. And it is Nick freaking Rhodes, man. This is the sentinel of sophistication with the synth sense. He is a style supernova exploding across our galaxies, creating our constellation of cool. He is one half of the big Birmingham bang that spawned generations of fans. This is our controller, baby. He is just, nothing escapes him. He has created so many memorable synth rhythms, and we love him, and I've definitely been hearing how much you guys love him. He has a special place in my heart, so I'm trying not to play favorites, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Anyway, this is a really, really huge day, and I cannot wait to dive into this. You know, this is a man who he laughs at convention and then he eats innovation for breakfast. Nom, 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 nom. Oh, he's just amazing. So this is Nick Rhodes. This is a day to celebrate Nick and your love for the man, and cannot wait to dive in. We have a lot to get through, and I'm hoping we can fit it in under the allotted time. But if it goes over, what would Nick do? He would power on. Yes. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm supercharged, energized. Okay, we're going to start out with an affirmation, and I want you just to find your center. Okay, if I can find my center. Where's my center? My center's with you guys. Okay, shake it off. So, find your inner peace, find your space, breathe in and breathe out. Here we go. I am strong enough. I am bold enough. And I am the controller in my own life. I certainly hope that for all of us. Okay, here we go. We have some incredible memories and reflections from people. I wish I could have included twice as many, but you know, I know that everybody has their limits on their attention span, and we have a Saturday to enjoy, right? So this is really special to just, you know, fire it off with you guys. Okay. So I have a little visual accompaniment here. We're going to try our best to keep it without glare, within frame, and it's actually the memories that are the focus, so I'm not going to worry so much. So good to have you guys here. Bridget is here. Hey, Bridget! Michelle Kennedy. Oh, you guys, you know, I really feel you all with me. I mean, this is like, in 2 days, Nick Rhodes is going to turn older, and we are so grateful for that. There's a whole new album on the horizon. I mean, there's more awesomeness that he has to give us, and can't wait. Okay, so here's Nick Rhodes. There we go. Little close up. There you go. Okay, so we're gonna start off with Maria Davin. Okay, hey Fabi. Okay, Maria Davin writes, "My first ever concert was December 2000 at Wembley Arena. I was almost 36. My sister Tara and I waited outside in the drizzle for 2 hours after the show, watching everyone else leave. Finally, around 1 a.m., when there was only about 12 of us left, Nick appeared." Just feeling that moment. "There was no way he was getting past us without an autograph. Tara and I basically stood in front of his car until it stopped. I ran round the side, and the electric window lowered, and there he was. I saw Nick and totally cabbaged out. I was a wreck, and all I managed to mumble was, 'I sent you a Christmas card.' A line my sister has never let me live down. I had, in fact, sent a card with my phone number and a rose and left it with a security guard earlier that evening. I handed Nick my program to sign, and the ready pen didn't work. So I now have a pop trash program with Nick's autograph scratched into it. I did manage to get a kiss on the cheek, and spent the next week washing around the area, trying to keep the memory as long as possible. P.S. If you see Nick, please tell him my number has changed since then. I will certainly do that. I can totally relate to, if I actually come into contact with any of the members, you just don't want to take a shower for the next 26 years. Okay. Sylvia Blyleven Atveld. Awesome name. I love Nick's creativity and the fact that he and John started Duran Duran and wanted world domination from the beginning, which they got. He's a lovely, smart man who always had eyes for every detail. I just want to wish our lovely controller a great 58th birthday. I wish Nick all the best. Very sweet. This stuff, just like on Roger's birthday, it just carries all the feels. I just feel all you guys around me. This is so cool. Okay. Sandra Baker. April Albrecht, hello. Okay. Sandra Baker. Nick is a true genius with synthesizer skills so unique that every note he produces has a life of its own. The intro to Planet Earth still blows me away even now. His passion for the music shines through just as it does with Simon, John, and Roger, and that is why they are, and always have been, the best band on the planet. Could not agree with you more, Sandra. Could not agree with you more. Okay. Kathy Cash Angwin. Woo! Okay. Here's to the one that brightens my moods with the tickling of the keys. He has made many a day of mine better with his sultry ways and eyes that speak to you. Happy birthday to the controller, Nick Rhodes. Love that. I love the fact that you use the word sultry in a sentence. It definitely is a word that needs to be used more. Oh, see that? Okay. Laura Curtis writes in. We're trying to balance here. Balance everything. After the show at Chastain Park in Atlanta in 2011, my friend Charlie and I got a tip that the band was hanging out at a hotel bar nearby. Charlie is a race car driver, so we peeled out of our hotel parking garage and literally raced to their hotel. We found Nick in the bar, holding court with a large group of lovely women. For a couple hours, I waited for my chance to squeeze in to talk to him, and eventually I was rewarded when Nick comes out of the bar, talking with a woman who was braver than I. They stopped right in front of me, so I turned to speak to them. Nick held up a paper doll someone had given him, and I noticed it was a Flat Stanley. Neither he nor his friend knew what it was. I'm a mom and knew all about Flat Stanley, so I seized my moment. I explained how this paper doll gets mailed between friends around the world, embarking on adventures that teach students all about geography. Nick thought that was interesting. At that point, feeling like I was buddies with Nick, I lightly smacked him on his left elbow and asked, "Why aren't you on Twitter?" I only realized after I smacked him that I had just smacked Nick Rhodes. Yeah. His response, of course, was, "I don't want to be followed." I laughed out loud. Then he said he didn't want to be followed by Flat Stanley. We laughed and chatted a little more, and I asked him for a picture, which he kindly obliged. Nick has always been my favorite, and I was on cloud 9. I couldn't sleep that night thanks to the rush of adrenaline, and that is my moment with Nick, his elbow, and Flat Stanley. Whoa, smacking him on the elbow. That is courage. Way to go, Laura. You survived that experience. It was very cool. Pam Layden O'Connor. What has Nick meant to me since I was about 12? Well, simply put, Nick is my man muse and North Star of art, fashion, and the fabulous. I love that, North Star. While still a young teen, both his musical sound and distinctive look caught my attention, and kept it until today. Trends may come and go, but true style and talent are always in fashion. Wishing the happiest of birthdays to a man who proves that it's possible to have both style and substance. Hallelujah. Pam, well said. Very cool. Deborah Brown. I bought the very first Careless Memories book, number 0001, which entitled me to a meet and greet. Oh, awesome. At the meet and greet, Nick told me he had actually been offered that very book by Dennis O'Regan and had thought about it for a long time. He did really want it, but turned it down because he thought it wasn't fair to fans to take one of only 5 unique editions. So Nick was really pleased that such a devoted fan had bought it, and he laughed when I told him that I was passing it on to my daughter, who was with me in my will. He was so lovely and spent a long time with us at the meet and greet. What a lovely man. If there is a theme to all of these memories, that is definitely it. Spending the time with fans, being the warmest generator of love, light, and positivity. That's very cool. Gina Marangoni, I think. Gina, hey Gina. I can hear Nick's voice in Sing Blue Silver saying, "We're halfway down the road to Pittsburgh and it's snowing." That was during the arena tour when they drove from Cleveland to Pittsburgh. I had tickets for the Pittsburgh show, but bad weather and no snow tires on my dad's car kept me from going. It still stings when I think of it. I wish I had been at that Turnpike rest stop to see them, Nick especially. Yeah, isn't that something for the imagination? Just pull over to the Turnpike and there's Nick Rhodes, and it's like, okay, and all the snow melts around him because, like, you know, he's hot. Okay. Julie Nixon. Julie Nixon. Nick was my favorite from day one. Being a quiet, only child raised in a Muslim country, I was entranced by who I saw as the most daring, adventurous member. On December 11th, 2015, I met him after a gig in Nottingham, and it was a dream. Okay. All good plans need to be allowing for unexpected events, right? Okay. So, let's see. He was every bit as articulate and friendly as I imagined. My pillowcase was certainly a talking point. During the show, I had kept it folded in my bag until the Rio Encore, then proudly held it up with Nick's name drawn in bubble letters. He signed my pillowcase that night. Then, on May 29th, 2016, I took the same pillowcase to a festival gig in Southampton, where I draped it over the front row barrier in his full view. Nick laughed so much behind his keyboards from not only seeing the pillowcase again, but finding that I'd written "me again" on the back. That's awesome. Oh, these are great stories. Kathy Yates. Kathy Yates writes, I went to see our beloved band in Manchester on the Diamond in the Mine tour, and like so many times before at the end of the show, Nick was taking photos of fans in the audience. I had my camera in hand, so I pulled it up to my face and click, I captured him smiling at me. Nick took a picture of me at the same time I did of him. That is basically the universe reaching out and saying, Kathy, I got your back on this one. Very cool. That is really cool. Imagine that. Oh. Samantha Ann Smith. This is how I wanted my hair when I was younger. And there is a picture. One of my favorites. Oh, love that hair. And this picture actually says at the bottom, coolmenshair.com. So, yeah, that just tells you what you need to know. This is how I wanted my hair when I was younger. Nick was and is stylish and sexy. Apart from my dad, Nick has always been the man I've loved since falling in love with Duran Duran. 39 years later, that love is just as strong and will never fade. Love that. Love that. Derek Salem is here. Oh, hello, guys. Angela's here. Hey, Angela. Okay. Katie Mobley. On to Katie. Oh, I guess I can turn the page too, right? See this okay? Okay. Happiest of birthdays to Nick. I never had the privilege of meeting any of the band members, but I was hooked once I heard my oldest sister playing Rio. I would sit and listen to the tape for hours. Throughout my teen years, I was lucky enough to see the band live several times, and their music is woven into my daily life. They provided light to me during one of my most challenging events, and I will forever be grateful. I had a cochlear implant almost 3 years ago, and I have listened to at least one song a day as ongoing music therapy. I cannot thank Nick enough for sharing his musical genius with the world. Amen, sister. Yeah, I totally agree, Katie. So glad you can listen to the music. Nikki Glista from Canada, right? Okay. 1980, alternative radio was playing Planet Earth. For the first time, I fell for the pumping tunes of the UK new wave beat. Duran Duran was hot, and I was feeling it. When magazines started filling shelves with faces of Simon, John, Andy, and Roger, I was drawn to the stare from Nick. He drew me in, and their music kept me hooked. I was obsessed with the music of Duran Duran. I can't relate at all. Obsession turned to lifestyle. In high school, hearts with Nicky and Nick were drawn all over my school books. Posters of Nick hung in my lockers and my bedroom walls. He influenced the way I wore my hair and clothes. 2003 gave me the opportunity to meet the band. Nick was everything I expected, poised, eloquent, and stunning. I was awestruck. I'm impressed with myself, knowing fine music at such an early age. Duran Duran has evolved with the times, and I'm proud to be #Nick's Girl, #Duranie. For life, baby. Feel that. Just feel it. Oh, I feel it. Okay. Rebecca's here. Oh, I love you guys. Okay. Gretel E. Beck. Oh, I'm supposed to turn pages, right? More Nick, please. Yeah. Okay. Got that? Okay. Gretel E. Beck. From my memory, I'm throwing back to May 15th, 2008 in Detroit. My 40th birthday. My friend Jeanette Messit-Frem, oh, I've had her in the archive. My friend Jeanette Messit-Frem and I are VIP, and we walk into the Masonic Temple VIP reception to find out we won the M&G. OMG. So exciting. Never met them. Prior to this concert, Nick did a Caddy Cafe, where he was asked what he'd like to know about the fans. His response included learning about fans' family trees and genetic code. Of course it is. Nick has the best answers for everything. Well, I happen to work in a genetics lab, so I sequenced part of my genetic code just in case. It was harder to do back then. Wow. I printed it out, put it on a CD, and wrote Nick a letter of explanation. And away it went in my suitcase for safekeeping. Back to Detroit. Jeanette and I wait for the boys to arrive for the meet and greet. When they come in, hellos are exchanged. I get my autographs, and then Nick gets to me. I tell him I brought him something, and once he confirms he remembers the Caddy Cafe, I hand him the envelope. He opens it and is super surprised upon my explanation. Nick tells me no one has ever given him their genetic code. That's just a sentence you don't hear every day. We chat a little more, and the M&G ends. A few weeks later, I'm at the Boston concert at the VIP reception. Jen, the organizer, remembers me and tells me that Nick talked about my gift and how it's definitely going into his collection. That was almost as exciting as meeting him. One of the top 10 moments of my life, along with Simon saying happy birthday to me during the concert. Yeah, that would be a pretty nice follow-up. That's awesome. Genetic code. Why didn't I think of that? Oh my gosh. It just also highlights how Duranis are found in all walks of life, right? Doing everything, all kinds of things, and working in a genetics lab. Wow. Way to go, Gretel. That's cool. Kelly Duvall. Nick taught me a great deal about fashion and identity. He convinced me to start wearing lighter and more vivid colors, and introduced me to the fact that men could wear pink and still be men. Nick also made me realize that a man could wear makeup and still be manly, but in touch with his softer side. Totally agree with that. Totally agree. Nick was ahead of his time. Angela Clark Striegel. Angela! Okay. I met Nick in 2011 in the Dominican Republic. He was incredibly gracious and so kind. The inner 12-year-old in me managed to somewhat keep her cool. I felt tongue-tied and was visibly shaking. I remember psyching myself up to speak to him and ask for his autograph. Nick was my first crush. When I was in 5th grade, I pretended we were married. Wow. Standing near him was surreal, and to find him as kind, clever, and charming as I had always imagined was just the best gift. He and Dave, the band's bodyguard, chatted with my husband and I for a while about cars, kids, and the Revolutionary War. My husband is a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel. Thank you for your service. I adore Nick and hope he has an amazing birthday. I just love that you pretended you were married. That's just says everything. Oh man, very cool, very cool. I wish I could do that. You know, I should have done that. Okay, Fabi from Argentina. Okay, Fabi. Talented, kind, attentive, patient, detailed, and funny. Nick is the perfect mixture of icon and down to earth. It's a hard task to choose a single memory, but there's one that stands out. Remember how fans were asked to paint up their faces for the big concert screens on the All You Need Is Now tour? Well, I made myself up, took a selfie, and submitted it, not knowing if it would be used. I went to the UK tour and saw myself on one of the 3 screens. I was so happy! I printed up a copy of the picture, and when I saw Nick, I asked him to sign it and thanked him for putting me up on the screens. He was shocked because he hadn't recognized me in the display, which he had made. OMG, we have this! I didn't realize it was you! The display was changed a few days later, and my photo was up on all 3 screens during Rio at the close of every show. Way to go, Fabi. It remained on all 3 of them throughout the end of the tour. Years later, I made a book with pictures from shows all around the globe that I had taken, and ones that friends had sent to me. The band all found the book really cool, but Nick was particularly interested in it, going through every page, telling people about it and how I had been on tour with them. His autograph read, "For Fabiana, the face of the show." No, I didn't faint, which was another hard task completed. Happiest of birthdays to you, dear Nick. That's so sweet. Yes, I actually was blessed to have that book. Thank you so much, Fabi. I did not have enough time to dig it out, but it is extraordinary. It's a huge feat. Great milestone. Very cool. April Albrecht. April! Bring on some April. Nick Rhodes has been my favorite Duran since day one. My parents endured a lot of Duran Duran over the past 35 years or so. I saw the band on February 19th, 2019 in New Orleans. Oh, look at the smile. Which was also my birthday. It was an amazing day as my best friend and I ended the night by meeting the guys outside after the concert. They all signed my set list, and Nick reluctantly wrote on my arm with a Sharpie, which became my next tattoo. Fast forward to the beginning of March, when my mom suffered a stroke. A couple days later, I thought showing her pictures from the trip might help. As soon as Mom saw the picture of me and Nick, she smiled and laughed, saying, "You got him! And how did you get him?" She saw the tattoo on my arm and said, "He did it! You got it!" It meant so much that she remembered I was a huge Duranie and was excited that I had met all the guys, but especially Nick, something I had talked about hoping to do while in New Orleans. At this point, she couldn't remember her name or where she was, but she remembered this. My passion for Duran Duran triggered her memory of that time. She had not yet seen any photos prior to her stroke. I just want to give a heartfelt thank you to Nick. A simple connection with a fan after a show went so much farther than that moment. That was beautiful. Thank you very much, April. Really. That was pouring your heart out on paper and sharing it with us. Horatio Saavedra. I'm from Argentina, 46 years old, and I've been a fan of Duran Duran for 33 years. I like Nick's creativity, his talent, and how he controls everything in the studio and on stage. He is a genius. I want to thank him for making my life so happy and hope to see him soon in Argentina. Absolutely agree, Horatio. I certainly hope he returns to you. Very cool. Thank you. Rebecca Holmes. Rebecca! I've been very fortunate over the years to be able to see Duran Duran at a variety of venues across the globe. From the first time in 1984 at the legendary Omni in Atlanta, I was hooked. From the first, no, we already been there. 2 years later, at 16, I traveled to Belgium and saw them perform at the Diamond Awards in Antwerp, and it went on and on. As a Delta flight attendant, I'd catch a show here and there, seeing the world and meeting interesting people from all walks of life. Just after the turn of the millennium, I had this fabulous golf partner who had recently moved to Atlanta from the Chelsea neighborhood in London. One of her dear friends and neighbors happened to be Nick Rhodes. Yeah, let that sink in. Who I was introduced to when the band came to town for several shows. Everything I had imagined as a young girl with a crush felt oddly familiar and rang completely true through this new adult lens. He was this fascinating mix of musician, artist, fashion icon, a person who spoke with confidence and had a profound sense of self. Happy birthday, Nick. You're a true Renaissance man. So fun to watch my children now share in the same joy I have had over the last 40 years. Love that. I do love mothers who share the love of Duran with their kids. That's really, really special. Angela Ohm. Angela! Oh, yes. Happy birthday to my fellow Gemini, Nick Rhodes. My favorite memory of Nick, aside from seeing him for the first time in the Reflex video, is the first time I met him in person in January 2017. After the New Year's shows at MGM National Harbor, I waited in the lobby for the band with other fans, including many who would later become friends. Among them was Fabi from Argentina, who is an amazing photographer and took wonderful photos of me with Nick. I tried to return the favor by taking photos of her and her fiancé with Nick, which led to some amusing instruction by Nick and Fabi. I needed lots of help on how to use an actual camera, not just one on a smartphone. Nick even signed my Devil's CD that day. That's cool. Receiving instruction. You know, I've had my own brush with Nick helping me operate some technical thing. It's humbling and touching at the same time. Harley Valladares. I apologize if I did unnatural things to your last name. Okay. On this special day, a precious, dazzling, elegant soul was born. Happy birthday to the charming Duran Duran's synth master, Nicholas James Bates, a.k.a. Nick Rhodes. I am ecstatic, totally grateful, and so pleased for your existence on planet Earth. This world would not keep spinning without your energy and genuine charm and sound. It's an immense pleasure to receive all the magic works that you have proudly delivered from your band and outside of your band. Duran power to you always. Nick, you are an exquisite, shining soul. You rapidly captured my heart like your flashing camera, and I hope to capture a thrilling moment in the future with you for the first time. One picture that would be worth 1,000. Sending you pixie dust in every full moon to you, Synth Master Nick. May all your wishes come true. Hugs and kisses. Oh, that's so cool. Tingles and shivers. That's so cool. Way to go, Harley. Thank you. That's very sweet. That's what, God, I'm sounding like it's to me. No, it's to Nick. Nick is going to think the same thing if he sees this. So. Okay, so Lottie Coyle. Lottie in the UK. Love you, Lottie. Okay. The gorgeous and infectious Nick. You hear all the stories of how lovely he is, and I have to say, he most certainly is. We just love him to bits. My friend baked Nick a Rocky Roads cake, and a group of us made a visit to his home back in September 2018 to deliver it. Going up to his door and delivering a Rocky Roads cake. That's just Duranie street cred. We approached his driveway and rang the bell, and the door immediately opened. It's as if he knew we were there. He then proceeded to tell us he was actually on his way out, and we were lucky to catch him. I'm so glad we did. He gratefully accepted his gift and chatted with us for ages. He even rang his driver and told him to wait 10 minutes so he could spend time with us, just casually talking and posing for photos. We all felt so privileged, and we were bursting with joy and happiness. Mr. Rhodes is an absolute gentleman, superstar, and just the most compassionate human on planet Earth. God, I love him nearly as much as Simon. That's awesome. That is so great. Just a perfect way to end that whole memory. Not for us to stoke a little competition in the band, right? It's like, oh, you know, we want us to love them. We want us to love them. Okay, love us. Yeah. Stick with the words, Andy. Stick with the words. Okay. Herman Mueller. Yay, Herman! Dear Nick, I'm so grateful for what you once decided to do. Giving birth to Duran Duran has given me such joie de vivre. I got to enjoy music that touches me, and the band has given me the chance to meet people from all over the world. It's fascinating how Duran keeps being a part of my life, since I mainly listen to alternative rock and metal now. I can't put my finger on what it is. I can only repeat the words that a Duranie once said in an interview back in the day. They make me happy. Thank you for that. Greetings from Belgium. That is just the most concise, eloquent, perfect summing up of everything. They make me happy, right? Nothing more than that. Very cool, Herman. Julie Abraham. Oh, she's got a good memory from Croatia. August 30th, 2017, in Zagreb, Croatia. Dozens of us Duranis were milling about the lobby of our hotel, where our wild boys were staying. Nick was taking his time, coming downstairs, so I planted myself before the lift. He had to come down sometime. However, the moment I blinked, Nick exited, power walking out of the hotel. But I was on a mission and successfully caught up to him, calling out his name. Without slowing, he said kindly, "Be quick." I handed him my book, speaking in feline. Smiling, he pointed to the cover, saying, "Oh, pussycat." "I wrote it," I said. He replied, "Did you?" I went on to explain, it's about Duranies in 1985. He flashed that Nick smile in response. Yeah. And, I added, cats from outer space. Nick stopped his walking and laughed, that wonderful Nick Rhodes laugh. Then he promptly resumed his walk, but looked back long enough to say, "Thank you. Thank you, Nick." Very cool. Very cool. Okay. This is so fun, you guys. Oh. Okay. Oh, look at him. Look at that. Oh, gorgeousness. Laura Mother Schifferdecker. How's that? Okay. Nick is the epitome of a true English gentleman. After a concert in Clayton, Missouri in 2005, I met Nick at the Ritz-Carlton with my then 2.5-year-old Adam. Nick was more than obliging to take a picture with Adam, who has established a history of being the youngest fan allowed in the VIP sections at Duran Duran shows. Proud Duranie mama. Indeed. Wear that with pride, Laura. Way to go. You've raised him well. Samantha Neild. Yeah, I hope I pronounced that right. In November 1988, Duran Duran played a gig in Manchester, England. I traveled hours on a coach to it from London. Afterwards, at the Midland Hotel, the band came out briefly, one at a time, to see the dozen or so fans outside. I was desperate for a photo with Simon, but he went back inside all too quickly, and my chance was gone. I got upset and tearful. Nick came out, and my friend was nagging him to go get Simon, which made me cringe. Nick could see I was upset, so he put his arm around me for a photo and said, "Come here. You'll have to make do with me instead." He's quite simply adorable. That is so sweet. Nick Rhodes, we love you. That's so cute. Very sweet. Biggest heart. This side of the rum runner. Elisa Lorello. Elisa Lorello. Oh, love that name. Because I know the person who owns it. When my best friend Elisa and I, another Elisa, yep, share the same name. When my best friend Elisa and I met the band at their Paper Gods album signing in New York City back in 2015, I brought a copy of friends of mine for the band to sign. Nick was the first one at the signing table. Security was moving fans through the line, so there wasn't much time to talk to them. I tried to quickly babble about the book, dropping Patty Palazzo's name, since she designed the cover. He might have even been wearing a Punk Masters t-shirt. And he took an interest in the book. "Is this for me?" he asked. I had to very sheepishly tell him, "No, I'd like you to sign it for me." Caddy Krasner, who was standing nearby, told him she would get him a copy, and I made arrangements to send one to her so she could pass it on. I had sent copies to Magus for the band. I still have no idea if he ever got it. Well, it sounds like somebody has a mission. We need to resolve this, right? So, there you go. Mission not impossible. Should see if he got it. That's really cool. Awesome fan, awesome book, awesome memory. Here we go. Oh, look at this. Yeah. Live shots. Can't get enough of those. Okay. I don't know if I'll be able to hold it like this. So, okay. Tracy Blackburn. Nick Rhodes is my spirit animal. He has been an inspiration to me since day one. He's only 4 years older than me, so my mantra in college became, by the time Nick Rhodes was my age, he fill in the blank. He still inspires me every day with his quote from the 1987 tour book, "Follow your instincts, choose your pathway, and smile." Thank you, Nick Rhodes, for being you. Wow, I totally forgot that was in the tour program. That's really cool, Tracy. Thanks for reminding me. That's a fantastic mantra. Inspiring to me. Catherine Wright writes in, "I became aware of Duran Duran in the early 80s. This powerful musical force with feathered manes and eyeliner. The Duranosphere soaked us in and we loved it." Duranosphere, I love that. I first became aware of Nick when he stepped out to work with Kajagoogoo, and later the magnificent Arcadia. The years crept by, and I discovered my favorite song, "Ordinary World," was actually a Duran hit. I watched the video, and I saw Nick. He looked fantastic even after all this time. Well, I'm married, but I'm not dead. I studied the band's music and words, and I've come to appreciate the incredible balancing of business and creativity that Nick achieves, plucking inspiration out of the air and giving it form. All of this, as well as genteel manners, impeccable fashion sense, and style. I used to think the Durans had glitter running through their veins, but now I think it's either molten gold or rich, dark chocolate. Happy birthday, Mr. Rhodes. May your life continue to be blessed with the desires of your heart. Love that. And it has a great image of molten gold running through the veins, rich, dark chocolate. That just makes me hungry. Julie Lim, another awesome UK fan. Our controller, the style guru, techno whiz, sharp-suited king of the keys. Birmingham born, thank goodness for your fateful meeting with the awesome John Taylor, spawning our wonderful Duran Duran. Forever grateful. Happy birthday, Mr. Nick Rhodes. Well said. That fateful meeting between him and John, right? Gave birth to just amazing stuff. Hernan Fernandez. I had the chance to meet Nick every time Duran played in Buenos Aires when I followed the band at the airport or to their hotel. But I remember once in particular in 2005, after a show in Madrid, La Riviera. At the time, I was living and working in Andalusia, the south of Spain, so I had to travel to Madrid to see the original lineup. The show was great and amazing. After the concert, I turned the corner and found several fans waiting for the guys. Suddenly, I saw Nick, who was leaving the place along with Simon and Roger. I called out to Nick, and he came up to me, shook my hand, and I gave him the astronaut tour book to sign. I asked him when they were to come back to Argentina. They hadn't been there since 1993, and he told me they would play in Argentina by November of that year. Nick was so kind to me, and I was so excited by the exclusive news I received directly from him. That would be a thrill. So I decided to come back to Argentina that day. It was too much for me, and I appreciate him a lot. I wish him a very happy birthday. That would be really cool to just meet Nick, shake hands, get an autograph, and then get exclusive news, right? Huh, that's cool. That would be very cool. Tracy Elena. Hello, Tracy. Oh, that's a good shot, Nick. Tracy Elena writes, I was a kid when Notorious was released, and I was obsessed with Nick's haircut. Around my birthday, May 25th, my mom took me to get my hair styled. I didn't like the result. I resembled Tootie from Facts of Life. I watch Facts of Life. I love Tootie. Oh my gosh, that takes me back. So I restyled it to resemble Nick's hairstyle. Friends at school loved it, while my family might have been horrified, but I maintained my creative expression, something I hold true to this day. I've spent most of my life knocking down perceived stereotypes with my tastes in music, fashion, and activities that differ from my peers. Those seeds of defying convention helped me start up an alternative goth clothing brand called Scarlet and Graves. From one bold, stylish Gemini to another. Happy birthday, Nick. Really, really love that, Tracy. You know, I've definitely have heard from a lot of fans where Duran has offered some kind of comfort and reassurance and confidence. It's really hard to find that on your own, especially when your tastes differ. I feel like you're standing out, and Duran totally reframed standing out, right? They made it a good thing. So, really cool. I'm happy that happened for you. Francine Marie Tognati writes in, my favorite memory is meeting you in New Orleans last February. So unexpected, blissful, and magical. It is still the most treasured moment of my life, and if I had a time machine, I would go back and relive those 2 nights in New Orleans forever. Happy birthday, Mr. Rhodes. I send my best to you always. May you remain happy and healthy. Love you eternally, your Franny Rhodes. Very sweet, very sweet. Melissa Britton writes in, I look back over the many phenomenal years of being a Duranie and have many fond memories of meeting you. One memory is very special, when the reunion tour came to Cleveland, Ohio. I attended an after-show party, and we ended up having a funny conversation that still makes me laugh to this day. You were sitting there, and I had on a pink West Virginia hat on. We were discussing where I was from, and I told you I grew up a mile on top of a mountain, and you said something along the lines of, are you sure it wasn't a hill and not a mountain? You got me, and I loved it. I loved being corrected by the world's greatest and smartest performer. You, Nick Rhodes. You started singing the West Virginia song, Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver, and I offered you my pink West Virginia hat. But you said that was okay for me to keep. I was walking around afterwards, talking to other gorgeous Duranis, and I overheard some saying, West Virginia Nick is singing the West Virginia song again. Imagine Nick singing Take Me Home Country Roads. That's awesome. I looked over and you just smiled and laughed. We shared many laughs that night. You asked us what we would like to see during a concert, and I said, the Reflex Waterfall. You explained how the band had tried but hadn't been able to recreate it. I could go on forever on these memories that I will cherish for a lifetime. Nick, thank you for being awesome and caring toward all the Duranis. I wish you the absolute best that life has to offer, and I blow you a big West Virginia kiss. So, if you ever see this, this is from Melissa. There you go. Okay. Debbie Cordera. Oh, more Nick. Oh, love that one right there. It's all about the hair and the makeup and the awesomeness. Debbie Cordera. Gorgeousness aside, that's a good way to start. And how do you put that aside, right? Gorgeousness aside, Nick has always been special to me, a kindred spirit. In school, I was unlike anyone else because of my looks and the music I listened to, unconventional colored hair and English new wave. It was not easy. I was bullied first because of my weight, then later for how I wore my hair or how I dressed. I was teased for being different. Then Nick comes along with his makeup and his own fashion sense that said, "Screw you, conventionality." He made me feel a little less alone and showed me there was nothing wrong with being yourself. Nick was and still is my shelter from the storm. Wishing the most special of days to you, Nick. I felt that one. That just resonated throughout my whole system. That's beautiful, Debbie. Thank you. Dina Lababidi Wiggins. Did I get that right? I was thinking about how Nick's attention to detail, borderline perfectionism, has inspired me. One of the early and most influential examples is one of my favorite moments in Duranie history, when the Rio album was supposedly finished. So the other band members headed to Sri Lanka to make music video history. But Nick stayed behind in the studio until the last minute, mixing and remixing the album. I have often wondered what one of the most incredible albums ever made would have sounded like if he hadn't done what he did and been who he is. That's a really, really good point, Dina. I mean, it's, Nick, his attention to detail, how much of the band's sound and image and entire package is due to, little tiny details that he has kind of secured, and just, it's a really good point. There's so much detail involved in what Duranie represents to us. Yeah. Sunshine Jacobson. Great first name, completely describes the fan. Absolutely. Sunshine Jacobson. I'm pretty sure Nick was a big part of my inspiration to study fine art in high school, specifically photography, drawing, and painting, which turned into my college major. It's not what I do professionally, but it's where my heart lies. I've been lucky to have met and talked with Nick a couple times. He's just such a good guy, and so obviously loves meeting fans. I still dream of spending a day running around with Nick in art museums and going shopping for clothes. Wouldn't that be the experience? Oh man, I would need it. I know I would need it. He would take a look at my wardrobe and say, "Oh, Andy, we certainly have work to do. All of this is so contrived. We have to get you going. Let's go shopping." Yeah. Haven't done my Nick accent in a while. Probably complete traffic wreck, but I did it for you guys. Okay. Brandon. Always fun to get a photographer's perspective, so this is going to be fun. Okay. Oh, there's a great shot of Nick at a party that I think was organized by Andy Warhol. He hung out with Andy Warhol. That's just a sign of greatness right there. That and this hair. Brandon. Back to Brandon. Nick Rhodes. Easy to get a good photograph of him, right? He's up on a stand without too much equipment to hide behind, and he's not moving around all over the stage like some other band members, who shall remain nameless because it's not their birthday. Yet. I do find Nick a bit of a challenge, though. He is often looking down or wearing his concentration face, so images of him can look very similar. He does have plenty of expressions if you pay attention, and his sense of humor can really come through. My goal every show is to get at least one photo of him smiling, one laughing, and I've got to get a shot of him with his camera. Like Roger, it's hard to capture any sort of interactive image, or even really have a moment of connection. But I believe one of those happened in San Francisco at the Masonic. I was across the stage, second row, standing room only on John's side, with a lovely straight diagonal towards Nick. This brought great opportunities to capture him at work. I took a few, then moved the camera down and found myself looking right into his eyes. I swear his head cocked to the side and his eyes crinkled into a little question. "Did you just take a photo of me?" I nodded yes, and he smiled. Ah, the warmth of a Nick Rhodes smile. Yes, sometimes it's worthwhile to put down the camera and be in the moment. Pure poetry. Well said, Brandon. I'm so glad that happened for you. You worked so hard to capture the band's magic on stage, and it's really cool to hear that you were rewarded like that. That's pretty special. Minna Laakso from Finland. Finnish fans. Woo! Okay. Nick's sense of fashion has always stood out to me, like the fancy red leather shoes I saw him wearing on stage in my hometown of Turku when the band played the City Concert Hall on September 27th, 1982. Wow, that's a memory. I spotted Nick's shoes right away. So cool and classy. It was not possible to see you in Sweden this summer, so I very much send my most sincere wish to see you and the boys in Finland next year. Have the most wonderful and happy birthday, Nick. Lots of love from Minna. Really sweet. Thank you so much, Minna. Okay. Whew. It's getting warm in here. Getting all the feels. Okay. Oh, look at that. Nick and Simon. Feel that. Andrea Martin. I first learned of Duran from hearing Planet Earth on a radio somewhere. Never saw them on TV, only in magazines, so I started out thinking, okay, the lead singer looks nice. Then Rio was released, and I watched them perform on Top of the Pops. And I saw Nick. Nick Rhodes, the forever love of my life. The way he stood and slightly shook his shoulders as he played the keyboard bit in Rio and gave that cheesy smile. My God, that man's got good teeth and a smile. That was it. Smitten for life. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Andrea. Delisa Jones writes in, Happy Wondertastic birthday, Nick! I hope you are enjoying your favorite meal and a glass of wine. I'll forever cherish the 2 times I took pictures with you in my hometown of San Francisco in 2011 and 2019. I'm glad I mustered enough courage the first time to ask as you were heading towards the elevator. Thank you for being generous with your time during those brief moments and sharing your amazing talent. Duran Duran's music will always have an impact on my life. You know, it really does take a lot of courage to walk up to the band. You know, it's just, I don't know, a lot of credit goes out to the fans out there. Kitty Page writes in, I've had the immense pleasure of speaking with Nick Rhodes a few times in my life, and I feel truly blessed. What stands out to me about each and every instance is how he makes you feel as if you were the only person in the room. He's one of those special people that really, truly gives you their full attention. He looks into your eyes, and he takes the time to listen to what you are saying, as opposed to just waiting for you to finish talking. As we all know, he responds very thoughtfully. And by then, you have forgotten completely what it was that you asked him. I know, it's so hard to just keep track. Honestly, the man is a dream and a gift to music and humankind. Also, the first time I met Nick, I was so flummoxed. I asked him if it wasn't awfully hot in that sweater he wore during the Seven and the Ragged Tiger tour. He paused at my question and said, Why, yes, it was very hot. Why did I wear that? And we laughed. Happy birthday, Nick. And in case you are wondering what the sweater looks like that Kitty is referring to, remember that sweater? Yeah, that looks just like crazy heavy fabric. Barb Allendorfer writes, longtime friend, awesome, just source of love and positivity and light and goodness and everything. I think Nick was my first true love. I had been a Duran Duran fan since the 6th grade and loved all of them. But I'll never forget one day when I was in 7th grade, looking at a certain photo of Mr. Rhodes and just falling head over heels. I never looked back. I remember sending him a stuffed cat I found at the mall that I thought he would love. I sent it to the Duran Duran fan club in London and was so sure he'd get it. It was just like his cat Sebastian. Who knows where it ended up? I also begged my mom to buy me this same Yves Saint Laurent lipstick that he wore. It was so expensive at Nordstrom, and that was all I wanted for Christmas. Oh, Nick. I swore if I ever had a boy, he'd be Nicholas. Sigh. He still makes my heart skip a beat, and I'm in tears every time I see him live. What an amazing soul. Happy birthday, dear Nick. You changed my life for the better, and I'm forever grateful for you. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. Okay, then I think I had one more. Okay, I am looking for it, and I can't remember. I can't find it. So, all the best laid plans, right? Susie Parker wrote in with the best memory. Let me see if I can show you pictures while I go through the memories real quick, because I really wanted to read that. This is so cool to hang with you guys. Okay. Here's more pictures. Oh, at the Semaphore Gallery, back to that gallery in New York. Beautiful. Okay. Here we go. Found it. Found it! Oh my gosh. Nobody is getting neglected in this broadcast. Okay. More Nick with dark hair. Okay. So, this is from Susie Parker. Take a breath, because this is going to take everything out of me. The last picture I showed my mom was of Nick Rhodes with a fan. She was on her deathbed. I'm not sure if she knew it was Nick, and I didn't know it would be the last picture she ever saw, but she loved Nick Rhodes. From the first time she saw Duran Duran in 1982, she fell in love with Nick. She never wavered. Her heart belonged to him. In the late 1990s, on the Let It Flow tour, the band played in a Mississippi casino, not the most glamorous place on planet Earth. My mom, a friend, and I waited outside a restaurant where Nick, Simon, and Warren ate after the show. When they came out, I told Nick my mom wanted to meet him. Your mom? Sure, your mom, he said. Seriously, I said. I took Nick over to her. He was polite, introduced himself, and signed her ticket stub. She kept that ticket stub in her jewelry box her entire life. Later, in 2012, I wrote a story about Duran Duran for the Washington Post. The band asked me to be a guest at one of their shows, and I could bring a friend. Of course, I took my mom. When it was our time to meet the band, Mom went first. She said hello to John, but skipped over Simon to get to Nick. All she cared about was Nick. She talked about how much she loved him over the years. He complimented her on her sparkly pink t-shirt. They acted like old chums. The man organizing the meet and greet told Mom it was time for her to go. Mom shrugged. She was 81, as if anyone told her what to do. She started moving toward the door, but then Nick said, "Wait, I want another picture with her." Roger grabbed my mom's arm to escort her back to the picture line. "You want another picture with me?" Mom said, standing in between Nick and Roger. My mom hated getting her picture taken. The whole band cracked up because who didn't want another picture with Duran Duran? In the photo, you can see Nick holding back a laugh, and Simon is definitely laughing. Of all my Duranie memories, that's my favorite one. My love and happiness to Nick on his birthday. I know my mom is... I know my mom is raising a toast in heaven to him. So, here's the picture of Susie Parker's mom. That's beautiful. Oh boy, I knew that would get me. And it probably was just on the heels of all the feels that I get from all you guys. You know, you give me this emotional rush every time. And it may seem like crazy energy, but my heart is 3 times its size as soon as you guys start tuning in. So, you know, this has just been amazing. I'll just kind of decompress a little bit with some pictures of Nick, you know, I'll channel that in. Angela, hey, here, Bridget. Save me from my emotions. Anyway, really, really sweet, you guys. This is just so special. It's a wonderful celebration of Nick. You know, I reflect a little bit on everything he's done, you know, for me and affected me. I mean, he wrote the foreword to my first book, which is an incredible vote of confidence. I share an affinity with him because we're both fellow collectors. And, you know, it's just such a treat to see him on stage with the band, you know, just reigning behind his keyboards. And just knowing that he's, you know, one half of the force that started the band and that affected all our lives and gave me a sense of purpose and gave me a direction to follow. I mean, none of this, all this is because of what he helped start. So it's just a lot. It's weighty. We're feeling it, the gravity of what he started. You know, I kind of wish, oh, there's John popping in. Oh, so the rest of this, John? Oh, great. Oh, okay, we're going to end with Nick right here. There's Nick, and a little double shot right there. And, you know, it makes me think of my own evolution, you know, where, you know, my mom has seen me change a little bit over the years. She used to be worried that I wouldn't be making friends because of how much energy I put into the band. And now, you know, I mean, her perspective has changed, and I would love to be able to have her meet Nick and be able to tell him, like, you know, I've seen Andy actually get a life, and, you know, because of the band. And, you know, she's really kind of reframed how she sees me, and now, you know, she's proud of what I do, and I'm proud of you guys, and there's just a lot of pride and a lot of feels going on. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing your heart with me today and allowing me to just connect like this. Nick Rhodes is amazing, and I'm so grateful to him, to the band, to you guys, and I really hope that you can just have an entirely fantastic weekend after this. Just do something fun for yourself. Celebrate Nick, was it in 2 days? Turns 58 years old, I believe. 58 never looks so good. I love you guys so much. Be kind, stay hopeful, and leave a light on. Love you guys so much. Thanks for being a part of this.